Okay, but the verse goes on to say, never pay back evil for evil to anyone. Do things in such a way that everyone can see you are honorable. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop there. And so we've been talking about these pieces of spiritual growth, and this one's forgiveness, but this one, basically, the first thing I want to bring out is don't get even. And I know that goes against everything our culture teaches. I mean, some of you had something happen to you years ago, and you're still plotting revenge in your head. And you have that perfect moment that if this person came up to me, I could tell them off in Spanish, French, and English, and sign language. I mean, you have it. You have the perfect thing down in your head. And then when they come up to you, hey, how's it going? I mean, that's it, right? I mean, and then we just continue to live with that day in and day out. And it's been years, and we're still living with this stuff. All right? He says, don't repay evil for evil to anyone. Now, where I went to school, I had the ability to take some classes in different languages, and the Bible was originally written, in Greek and Hebrew, and I had the advantage of taking some classes, and so some of these words, the translators do the best they can to get them as close as possible. But this word, anybody, is actually a very detailed, nuanced word that actually means anybody. I mean, that's it. I wish there was some hidden meaning. Trust me. Because this is one of those things I hated getting rid of this, because every time I started to think about something would pop in my mind, God would just start dealing with me on something. It was so tough. I laid in bed last night until like 2 in the morning. And some of you are like, I do that all the time. I don't do that very often. I don't function well. Just this idea of forgiveness and what it really means, and I mean, how is it carried out? And the object of today isn't to necessarily give you a full course on everything forgiveness, because honestly, in the time we have, that just couldn't happen. Really, without sitting down with someone and talking things out, can that really happen? I mean, that's why we have fusion groups and those types of things where you can really connect with people and talk to people and kind of talk things out. This first thing is getting even. One time there was we were living in Missouri, my wife and I, we were going to college and we were living in this townhouse. And I'm infamous for like spilling cheese on the floor, like shred cheese or stuff like that, and I don't clean it up. I just kind of like brush it off the back of the counter, or don't look at me like I'm the only one. Okay? And so this time, and I had kind of gotten in trouble for it. My wife was starting to get angry for obvious reasons. So this time I spilled pizza sauce on the floor, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to clean this up. So I go to the sink and I get a dish rag, and I proceed to bend down and clean it up. My wife says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Cleaning it up?" She's like, "You're not supposed to use my clean dish rag to wipe up stuff off the floor. You might pick up dirt from the floor." And I was like mad, because I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to do what I can. This is just my effort. I mean, I'm not perfect. And so I had something to say back. When she said, "You shouldn't use that clean dish rag on the floor, you might pick up dirt," I said, "Maybe you should mop the floor every once in a while." That did not work out well for me. Okay? That just doesn't work. Getting even in that situation did not work for me. There's some biblical examples of this too. Right in the beginning of the Bible, we have a story of two brothers. Who are they?
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. The story of these two brothers, and I'm not actually going to go around, I'll just kind of tell you the story, is they both bring an offering to God. And God finds one of the brothers' offerings acceptable, Abel's, and the other one, he doesn't. Abel, I guess, brought like the best of the best to God, and I don't know if Cain just kind of brought whatever. But for whatever reason, God found one acceptable and the other he didn't. So he kind of told him, look, you got to bring me the best of the best. And Cain could not forgive his brother of this. It just consumed him. To the point, one day when they were in a field, he murdered his own brother. Now, did Cain get even? Yeah, we would say he got even. Is Cain's life any better now? No. Matter of fact, he kind of went through the rest of his life kind of living with this monkey on his back. Another story is Jonah and the Ninevites. Jonah is a prophet of God. I mean, his job is to go around and tell people what God tells him to. Pretty simple. Well, the Ninevites are these wicked, wicked people. I mean, they just do crazy things that I won't even get into because it's pretty grotesque, some of the stuff that they do. And so God tells Jonah, John, I need you to go to Nineveh, and I need you to tell them this message. If they don't repent, it's game over. And Jonah says, I don't think so. And so he actually gets on a boat and he goes the opposite direction. Well, you know the story. Jonah ends up in the belly of a fish. For a few days, he gets vomited onto dry land. Messy story. So Jonah goes to the Ninevites and he tells them what God said. Reluctantly. He still really doesn't want to do it. And the people of Nineveh actually repent. Good story, right? Not for Jonah. Jonah couldn't find it in his being to actually forgive them. Matter of fact, he went kind of up on a hillside and he just waited because he said, you know what, these people did such wicked stuff, I know God's just going to get them. And that's where you leave the story of Jonah. Jonah's pretty much pouting on a hillside, wondering when God's going to blast him. A story kind of on the opposite foot is a guy named Ananias and Paul. Paul wrote most of the New Testament that we have. And the thing about Paul is before he was a good guy, he was a really bad guy. I mean, he was killing Christians. He was present at the stoning of Stephen. He was imprisoning them. I mean, he's just doing really wicked things. And so he's traveling and he sees God and it basically blinds him. And that's Paul's conversion. And so God tells Paul, look, I need you to go into the city and there's going to be a man there named Ananias and he's going to come and he's going to help you and kind of get the ball rolling that way. And God gives the same thing to Ananias. Says, Ananias, look, Paul's coming. Ananias knows Paul. Everybody in that area knows Paul. Ananias knows that Paul has murdered Christians. So Ananias kind of has two options here. Ananias can A, say, you know what, God? I understand that's what you want, but this dude will probably murder me. So you know what? I'm going to pass on this one. The other option is he can do what God says, and that's what he ends up doing. And I mean, we have so many writings in the New Testament because of really that decision that Ananias had to simply just forgive. You don't think Ananias wasn't thinking through these things? Do you think Ananias maybe just forgot that Paul killed Christians? But he knew what God said about it. He knew what God said about it. The end result of getting even really is just we feel worse. We think we'll feel better. We think if I can say this one thing, and if this person apologizes with these words, I'll feel better. But the end result is it just doesn't work that way. All we do is we feel worse, and now we've hurt other people in the process. That's what getting even does. It does nothing for us. Some of you say, look, Mike, you don't understand what I've been through. You don't know what's going on. And I don't know everybody's situation. But I do know, and I don't like it just as much as you, that the verse says anybody. I wish it said child abusers. I wish it said, murderers. But evil is evil. Physically abusing a child is evil. Gossiping is evil. It kind of brings it a little more to our level because, we don't beat our kids, but, that's something that is easy for all of us to do is gossiping. Evil is evil. And you know what? You say, look, nobody's really offending me. It might not be right now, but it might be someday. Our whole faith, forgiveness isn't like an app in the iStore. Forgiveness is like the operating system. Forgiveness is the foundation of our faith. God sent His Son to die on the cross to forgive us. That's the base. That's not just this cute little thing we talk about on Sunday, this cute little Bible study here. That's the foundation of everything we do is forgiveness. So it's really, really crucial we get this. And so if we don't get even, what do? The world tells us to get even. The culture screams to get even. Take revenge. This message is so countercultural that we kind of look like idiots sometimes. So what do we do? The next thing is this, and it's simply heap coals. And you go, what does that mean?